And they must first understand the need for compromise and healing, because none can do well without the other. But trust me, if healing does not happen, there are mechanisms and conventions within this party that provide for the dealing of such scenarios. Let no one be in doubt that as leader of this party, I will strain every sinew in my body to win the Christchurch West seat. And it will not be by any Mickey Mouse margin. So let us go forward. This is an issue between a branch and an MP. There is no crisis in the Barbados Labour Party. The media is ever vigilant in a way that they weren't 20 years ago, 30 or 40. And I'm glad that there are political scientists among us who will tell us that political parties the world over have been dealing with these issues for eons, and political parties for the future will continue to deal with them, not just in this region as we have seen. We all have family issues, real families and families like political parties. And we, as a Labour Party, will not let the people of this country down because they see us as their only hope. We will rise to the occasion and we will manage our affairs to give them that confidence. And I give you the assurance that the matter of Christchurch West will be resolved well in advance of the next general election. And it will be in the best interest of the Barbados Labour Party and the people that we serve. So when I say now, cease and settle, I mean it from the heart. And we're not going to leave this country exposed to the ravages of the Democratic Labour Party. This government must be held accountable by this party. We've done it before and we'll continue to do it. We did it with the economy. We warned the people that things would happen, and regrettably they did. We did it with CLICO and British American. We warned them, and it did. And only today, Prime Minister Gonzalez in the front page telling his parliament that he has written Frondel's Stewart 2 letters and not a whimper, not an acknowledgement from the Prime Minister. You know, we knew that Frondel does not like to talk to the people of Barbados. We knew that Adriel Braffett says they have had to negotiate a concession from him to speak once a month. Like if that is a big thing, reflecting only the insensitivity and the indifference and callousness of this government. But what we did not know is that Frondel don't like to talk to his colleagues neither. And he don't like to write neither. But colleagues, this is ominous. We have a leader in Barbados who is in fact chairman of CARICOM. You recognize that? And will not answer a letter from his colleagues. That is the depth to which we have sunk as a country. No wonder not a single world leader has come to Barbados in the last 7 years. Not one. President of China to Trinidad, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom to Jamaica, President of the United States of America to Jamaica, all coming about the Caribbean. Before we were accustomed, Reagan, Clinton, called them off. People used to come here, not under this government. And the truth is, many people in the region now view Barbados as a waste of time. When you go to regional meetings, people no longer rush to hear what Barbados has to say. They in fact use the opportunity to go for a nature call. The chorus is deafening. They all ask, you hear it and I hear it, what has happened to Barbados? That is their chorus. But we also warned the people of this country about Cahill in June. And let me deal with that now very quickly, because I have laid before Parliament a private member's resolution asking the Prime Minister to present and produce to the people of this country the 3 agreements that 4 ministers, however ordered, segregated, divided, or compartmentalized, have signed in the name of the people of this country. A memorandum of understanding, an implementation agreement, and a power purchase agreement. Nobody can commit this country to spending $4.4 billion as a government over the next 30 years and do it in secret and not be prepared to share it with the public of Barbados. If the cabinet of Barbados, the majority of whom still have not seen it, that is a matter for the cabinet. But the people of Barbados and the opposition of Barbados have said that we want to see it because it binds us long after many of us would have gone to the great beyond. It is significant that after 2 months of summer recess, with that resolution on the order paper, you would have thought that we would have been returning to discuss that. Instead, we came back to see a land acquisition for land at Vaucluse, 27.13 acres, or as termed in the resolution before Parliament, 10.9 hectares. How does a government, after a Prime Minister says in the middle of September that there will be no Cahill without his say-so, how does a government bring to Parliament, through Cabinet, a resolution to acquire a property that will be valued somewhere between $5 and $10 million for a project that is not to get off the ground? We got money sitting down that somebody don't know about. And for Dennis Kelman, who wants to deny that the land that is being acquired has anything to do with Cahill, and is hiding behind the rubric Green Energy Program, might I please ask Mr. Kelman to go in his files and look for the cabinet paper entitled Award of Contract to Cahill Energy Barbados Limited to develop, finance, own, operate, and maintain a waste-to-energy facility at Vaucluse, St. Thomas, dealing with this matter. For ease of his reference, it is number 113 of 2014 of the Ministry of Environment. And for ease of his reference, if he does not want to read the entire cabinet paper, please start reading at paragraph 34, but start and stop at paragraph 41, which deals with the acquisition of the land from Vaucluse, at Vaucluse, from the Coziers. If you are in any doubt, Mr. Kelman, and you want to deny this, trust me, a time will come soon before the next election when you nor the people of Barbados will be in any doubt about that being the land that was intended for Cahill. And I say to you that you better not doubt it, because if you do, and if you continue to deny it, you may end up spending the rest of your career as a super capitalist selling macaroni by the pound in Moontown. Next week, I will carry some of my colleagues to that land in St. Thomas, and we will look at the boundaries as have been provided to us both in the parliamentary resolution and indeed in the cabinet paper, and indeed we will seek to meet with the owners. Let me say at this point in time that if ever, ground is broken at that site in St. Thomas to start anything to do with Cahill, you can be assured that I will buy a tent and I will be going on that land. And if it is me alone and me alone, as I said with the solid waste, I shall walk alone, I shall sleep alone there if it is me alone. In this country, our parents told us you can hide and buy land, but you can't hide and work it. Whenever that ground is broken, if it is ever broken for Cahill, rest assured, help me find that tent because I am going there. But I am not stopping there. There's breaking news. I want you in the media to know this is breaking news. Hold tight. And I want Frandel Stewart to deal with this tomorrow at Dighton Griffith School because he has arisen from a slumber. Anybody who can promote themselves as the South comes alive is an admission that the South was dead for the last few years. And I don't deal with the walking dead. Don't come and tell me tomorrow about Christchurch West. That is our business, our family business. I want you to tell us now about the people's business. And I want to alert you tonight to Cahill number 2. I want to alert you to Cahill number 2. It is in the making. We haven't signed it yet, but we are going to make sure that unlike the last one, this one doesn't get signed. You know, there is no previous leader of Barbados, no previous prime minister, that would still have a minister the likes of Dennis Lowe in his cabinet. I'm serious. And I'm beginning to wonder, truly, what secrets Dennis Lowe got for the prime minister? Well, that could be the only explanation. Any day now, any day soon, this government will have another government entity sign yet another power purchase agreement with yet another Canadian company, this time called Deltro Electronic Inc. It is to provide power to a new utility company, Deltro that is, for 20 years in the first instance, and for another 80 years, 80, 4 20-year extensions. After that, and it will be for a maximum 20 megawatts of photovoltaic energy. Now, ladies and gentlemen, who do you think the new utility company is? Who do you think the new utility company is? Remember, I said it's new, so it can't be Barbados Light and Power. It can't be Sanitation Service Authority because they're in Cahill number 1. Who do you think the new utility company is to manage and to meter energy generated from this solar photovoltaic farm? It is none other than the National Conservation Commission. And who is the minister there again? How low can you go? Do you understand that the NCC is now on page 1 of a draft contract, declared to be a utility company for the purposes of a power purchase agreement with Deltro? Now, mind you, the Light and Power has no official knowledge of this, but the contract is about to be signed. And I'm not sure if the Light and Power don't know about it, who they're going to be selling the power to. but you're committing to the liability up front. What is more, the contract speaks to the National Conservation Commission as a utility entity, paying 44 cents a kilowatt hour. 44 cents a kilowatt hour. A price that is at least 1/3 more than what the Barbados Light and Power would generate the same photovoltaic energy at in this country in the plant that it is developing at Trent St. Lucie, a 10 megawatt photovoltaic farm that the Light and Power is developing. It is amazing that persons can be cavalier about wanting to sign on to these commitments because the 44 cents is not what the consumer will pay, but it is what the NCC pays. And if the NCC is then to sell on to someone else, you can be assured that that 44 cents goes up. The contract equally provides for a 2% increase every year, in spite of the fact that there is nothing more to do and minimal labor once you put down the farm as a photovoltaic farm. But every year, it is to go up by 2%. How does the NCC know what the Fair Trading Commission will agree to as a fair price for the Light and Power to pay them for any electricity coming from that farm? Especially since the price is already basically higher than anything associated with true costs. If the FTC does not give them, were it to happen, then it means that the taxpayers of Barbados would have to be subsidizing the price that the NCC is paying Deltro Canada. And the taxpayers will be left holding the loss. What is more, how can you commit the NCC to be a utility provider, Ralph, when the legislation establishing the NCC, Eddie, has as its object the following words: an act to revise and consolidate the law relating to public parks, beaches, and related matters, and to make provision for the conservation of sites and buildings of national interest. Where in that language, Arthur, do you see a reference to being a utility provider? And what is more, on this 166 square miles, where do you think that they are proposing to hand over 70 acres for a 99-year lease to build this farm on? Take one guess. Somebody said, Grandma, not quite. But you had the right thinking. None other than in my constituency, on the site of the National Botanical Gardens. A site that has been designated for almost a decade, that every year the Parliament of Barbados votes money under a sub-program called National Botanical Gardens. And there are staff there working. In 2012, Dennis Lowe went with the Rotary Club in February 2012 and the celebration of their 50th anniversary. And the Rotary was intending to plant 50 different varieties of trees on the National Botanical Gardens. In August of 2012 again, Dennis Lowe met with the Chinese and put it as a project for the Chinese to support the National Botanical Gardens. But in 2015, the very same site is now being offered up to a company from Canada. But it gets worse, because on that site, and it was a Barbados Labour Party government that took the decision, Jerome, to establish the National Botanical Gardens. Reggie was in cabinet, Jerome was in cabinet. And it took it, Jerome was Minister of Water at the time, because there is the Codrington water well on that site. And the Codrington water well comes dangerously close to the acceptable standards of the WHO in relation to nitrates and nitrites in this country. So we had no choice, Glenn, you remember, to designate it. And we designated it because we also felt, and I made representation, that you have over 100,000 people living in St. Michael and no green space for them to go. They can't go and ride anywhere, recreate anywhere. You go to other countries and people got parks and gardens, and people who don't have a lot of land at the back of the house therefore can go and breeze, hold a little children party, exercise. And anybody who goes inside there would see the most wonderful natural amphitheater in the whole of St. Michael, perfect for concerts, apart from the recreation and sporting activities and things. They took my constituent, Nuki, who raised cows, and make him move his cows off of that land because of the desire to protect it and to develop it into a national botanical garden. They moved the man with the horse stables at the bottom, move him over across the road to Waterford on the other side. And now we have a contract of over 40, 50 pages proposing for the NCC to be a utility for them to rent land, lease land for 100 years or almost, to put a photovoltaic solar farm on what is Barbados' only national botanical garden site. That this government has not found neither money nor creativity to make the botanical gardens open to the public is a shame. But I tell you, it must not be taken from the people of Barbados. Yep. I call on them to stop the project. And this isn't an ultimatum. I'm speaking on behalf of people who care. Those members in the Dems who want to propel the notion that they care about this country. Now is your time to distance yourself from this kind of environmental madness again that will throw this country down and that will imperil the livelihood of current and future Barbadians. It is not enough for you who say you care to mutter under your breath anymore. Our country is at stake. The Barbados Labour Party is not against clean, green, renewable energy. But we, however, feel that there must be no secretive backroom deals by this government anymore. And why is the lawyer who is handling this lease for the NCC not the lawyer that the NCC board or the cabinet approved to work for the NCC? You know what I tell you? And why is it that there's another Democratic Labour Party lawyer, because that lawyer I just referred to is well known to the Dems too. Why is it that there's another Democratic Labour Party lawyer, the one who received the $750,000 in Cahill number 1? Why is he now acting as a go-between between Deltro and the minister? And why has the public and the Barbados Light and Power not been apprised of plans to change a botanical garden site into a solar site? Why? One of the real problems surrounding the proliferation of so-called green energy plants is the absorption into the national energy. I know that I'm giving heat, but I didn't know the heat would cause such action. Thank you. The poor Light and Power don't know where to turn. A sugar industry plant that's supposed to generate energy. Cahill number 1 generating energy from garbage, and now Cahill number 2 from solar on a national botanical garden site. And the common denominator in every instance is the vast amount of money to be spent on the projects. I want to know, why does $4 million make a mare fly? The other problem, of course, is that they're Bajan indigenous producers, fellas trying to get businesses off the ground. And in every instance, they have been bypassing these mega electricity generating projects. There's more to this story. And I'm asking each of you to hold on. Can't tell you all now. Can't tell you all now. But if you think that the lady behind Cahill does not fill your eyes as a major investor in Barbados, then wait until you hear about the person behind this deal at Deltro. Keep your eye on the ball. Take it from me. Do not let this government get away with anything that you feel isn't right. And there's a sense that the corruption now in Barbados is all over the place, breaking us down. But there's the one last matter that I want to raise with you before I come to an end today, related to this government, that is. A few days ago on this same platform, I raised the issue of public health problems with both the South Coast and the Bridgetown sewage systems. And I asked the Prime Minister to deal with it. I didn't give him any ultimatum. I gave him my phone number because I recognize that in many instances the Prime Minister is being left out of what is going on in his own cabinet. I haven't heard from him. So I'm now duty bound to tell you and to reel the facts, not because I want any political point, but because action has to be taken. And Ralph Thorne, Wilfred Abrams, Adrian Ford, you all have to be at the forefront of this action. I have a memo dated the 10th of September 2015 entitled Funds Needed for Our Collapsing Sewage Systems. The memo is addressed to the chairman of the Barbados Water Authority and copied to the Minister of Water Resource Management, Dr. Eswick, and to other various officials of the Barbados Water Authority. The author of the memo, you in St. Michael Northeast, you know her well. The author of the memo is Patricia Innes, one of them, not one of us. She may be a poor political aspirant, but she was clearly taken from the Senate because of her scientific training and was placed at the Water Authority to work on water quality and wastewater management issues. Ms. Innes writes that after a 6-month analysis of the sewage systems, she is forced to conclude that, and I quote, if funds are not urgently sequestered to correct the multiplicity of problems plaguing both our sewage treatment plants and their surrounding networks, we face the real possibility of their soon collapse. This is the 10th of September, more than a month ago, 6 weeks ago she writes this. She goes on, you are aware, her words, that the South Coast sewage plant has been virtually non-functioning for over a year, as over 90% of the sewage entering the plant is now being diverted from the influent pumps to the effluent pumps. She goes on, workers at the plant say they deal daily with complaints from customers, and the last documented complaint I'm aware of sent to the Barbados Water Authority on May 11, 2015 from the Ministry of Health stated that sewage is contaminating the Graham Hall swamp. Now, the Minister of Health, John Boyce, is the representative for parts of the areas surrounding the swamp. The Ministry of Health is who made the complaint to the Barbados Water Authority. And those of you who live on the South Coast would expect that your representative would speak out to protect your health. But we have not heard his baritone voice on this issue. I want to tell him that if he doesn't use that baritone voice, or he only uses it on the golf course, it will soon be neutered. It doesn't make any sense, Wilfred, me asking Dennis Lowe to speak to this issue as Minister of Environment, Because I have clearly shown you now that he is